Hey, coach. So, have you been wondering how do you get more of your clients taking imperfect action in your programs? What about how do you get your clients to release all those feelings of perfectionism or feeling like they don't know enough? How do you do this for yourself? Well, if those are some questions that you have had, keep watching. This video is for you. If we have not met, welcome to my channel. I'm Coach Tish. 10 years ago, my journey as a coach started, and it officially began with me helping someone achieve what I had achieved. Despite having no formal training, I was able to get that client results, but I got to admit, it was really bumpy. Well, 4 coach certifications and thousands of coaching clients later, I've worked for some of the largest coaching companies in the US, trained hundreds of coaches in behavior change within a health coach certification program. And now I am here serving and supporting you, my fellow coaches, the people who I love to be with, in improving your coaching skills. Because quite honestly, many of the programs that are out here today do not help us to be better coaches. They help us to train, they help us to tell people what to do, but they do not necessarily help us to create the transformation in our clients, in our communities, and in the world that we desire. So let's get into it. So if you watched my last video, you might remember me mentioning that there are 5 stages of change. I personally had to go to grad school to learn this, but I'm super excited that I get to share this with you because here's the truth of the matter. This is what I know. My very first coach certification came as a result of someone actually offering it to me for free. If I had not had that opportunity, I don't know that I would have gotten my life coach certification, which is my foundation. It was an ICF approved program, which ICF is the International Coaches Federation, which is the governing body for coaches. There's a lot of people in the online marketing space who do not have training in that regard or training from the ICF. And I'm here. Let me just put this out there. I'm not saying that there is one training. As a matter of fact, I have 4 coach certifications: life coaching, executive coaching, health coaching, and even as a diversity coach. So what I am saying, I don't think that everyone needs to have these, but I do think that there is a foundation when it comes to coaching, a foundation as specifically as it relates to understanding human psychology that is not present in many of the marketing programs. They'll teach you sales psychology, but not necessarily behavior change or change psychology. And that's really what our clients are looking for when they come to us. They come to us because they want to experience some level of change in their lives, in their businesses, in their money, right? And so I want to show you some of the things, or at least share with you some of the things that I've learned on my journey, that if I had not met someone like me, I don't think I would know these things. So that's what I want to share with you today. So in my previous video, I mentioned that there are 5 stages of change. Well, today I want to focus on that first stage, right? If you remember from my last video, we called that first stage pre-contemplation. Now, pre-contemplation is basically the space where our clients are not very clear about the change that they would like to make. And so here's what I mean. When clients are in a pre-contemplation space, they're not 100% clear on the problems that are being created by their current behavior. That's most of the time how they get attracted to us. We're talking about things on social media. We may be talking to them on a sales call. Someone they know probably referred them to us. That's typically when they get introduced to us. When I first found out about this particular stage of change, I was under the impression that no one would join a coaching program if they were in a space where they were not clear that the program or that my coaching could solve the problem that they had. I'm here to tell you that's not all the way true. That's not always true. Sometimes people will join our programs because they are attracted to us, that they are attracted to what we are saying. They are attracted to our approach. They are attracted to our beingness as it comes across on social media. So I am here to tell you, yes, you will absolutely have people in your programs who are absolutely not ready to make a shift. They are not ready to make a change. And that's okay. right? That's part of why we're talking today. You will have different types of people who are in different phases of change. And I want to let you know that when it comes to making a shift, whether it's in their money, in their lives, in their spending habits, eating habits, living habits, when it comes to making a change in the habits that have created the life that we now have, there are some specific things that as coaches, we can do to begin guiding and supporting that transformation. Now, most of the people that we'll talk to, as it relates to helping us to build our coaching businesses, they've never experienced the magic that comes with actually being coached. They will show us how to deliver information. They will show us how to market. They will show us how to communicate and what words to say. But when it comes to transformation, as coaches, we've been called upon, at least this is my belief, we've been called upon to guide our clients, to support our clients in finding and discovering their own answers. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking about the answers that our program provides. I'm talking about the answers that lie within. Our clients have often been coming to us from spaces and places where they have not been heard. Their feelings have not been validated. They have not been understood. They don't feel seen. And so being in programs like ours is part of what gives them life, in so many words. Okay. So I'm going to give you 3 things that will most benefit your clients who may be in a space where they aren't yet ready to change. Okay. Now, first things first, as you are working with clients, I am sure that you have had more than one client who've said the following. Give me a thumbs up in the comments if you've had a client who has said the following to you. I know I want to change. I wish I could. I would like to. I know I need to. Comment below with a thumbs up if you have ever heard a client say that to you. Those words are usually the sign of a client who's in the pre-contemplation space. Now, I got to tell you, I have said those words myself, right? As a coach, I'm not always in action. For certain things in my life, there are things that I am absolutely thinking about and preparing to make a move, but not yet ready to make a move on. And I myself have also said those things. So when we're talking about helping a client progress and get to a space where they would like to and they're able to actually make a shift, right? If they're in a space of wishing and wanting, that means that they are still deciphering what is really important to them in that space of change. Let me tell you what I mean. I remember I am currently in a program designed around building a business as it relates to your human design. Okay. Now, your human design is something akin to astrology. It's a little bit more detailed. It definitely works for me as someone who needs structured learning, but it allows me to use my birth time and identify different aspects of myself and identify different strengths that I have as it relates to who I am and how I was born, right? Well, when I enrolled in this program, I was very excited about it. I was very much so ready to begin building business differently. But in the time that I've been in the program, I've learned a lot. And while I've been learning from the person who I invested in the program with, I've also been scrolling on Instagram, learning and taking in even more information about myself, my design, my strengths as it relates to my design and things like that. As I've followed more people on social media, that has not taken away from this initial human design business class that I invested in. As a matter of fact, it has supported and supplemented everything that I'm learning as it relates to building a business according to my design. This idea of continuing to take in information, we call that consciousness raising, right? In this space of raising consciousness, learning new things, I'm gaining new understanding, I'm thinking about things differently. In that space, I'm learning more about the different problems that I've had in building my business in the past. I'm learning more about the problematic habits that I created. These are in addition to the specific problems that the program I paid for tells me about or introduces me to. These are things that I am learning and discovering on my own. This is most important because as I'm learning more about the different problems and the different problematic habits and problem causing behaviors that I participated in previously, right? The more that I'm learning about that, the more committed I am to the program that I actually invested in. So what does that mean for you, coach? That means one thing that you want to think about or ask yourself when it comes to the solution that you're creating, what do you have in place to ensure that your client continues to learn in a way that is not overwhelming, continues to learn and is not overwhelming? What do you have in place? I recently joined a program, another program. Again, I coach coaches, so I find myself often paying for programs, right? So that I can be more well-versed and well-rounded in my own coaching practices, as well as for the services that I offer to others. I recently joined a program and it was chock full of information, chock full, packed to the brim. And it was completely overwhelming. As soon as I saw all the information that was there, I was just like, not happening. I knew immediately that I wouldn't be in this program long. So that's something that you want to keep in mind. As you are creating your programs, your coaching programs for others, what's the balance for you? What does that balance look like? Now, this is something that I help my coaching clients with. And if you'd like me to support you, I'll have a link for you. Just click that link down below and we can chat. But if you're doing this on your own, that's something that you want to pay attention to. How do you create that balance? Okay. So number two, second thing that we want to ensure that we are creating for our clients who are obviously in a space where they aren't ready to change yet. Now, in this particular program that I'm in, one of the things that I began to recognize is I initially bought my domain name 10 years ago. And in those 10 years, I've enrolled in a bunch of trainings on branding, trainings on, of course, my coach certification. So improving and honing my coaching skills, learning new skills. I've taken trainings on marketing, building memberships, launching, you name it. There's a good chance I've taken a training on it. Okay. And every time that I've taken a training, I was convinced that this would be the thing that would take me over the top. This would be the thing that would allow me to take my business to the next level. Well, when I finally decided to join this human design business program, part of the reason that I joined the program was because 2 years ago, when I turned 40 and realized that my coaching business had not made me a millionaire, I was devastated. I was annoyed. I was frustrated that for so many years I'd invested so much time, money, energy, travel, resources into growing this business that I thought would make me a millionaire, right? Because isn't that what we're sold on social? Everybody's got a 6-figure, 7-figure business. Well, after I invested in so many programs and I took action on those programs, I needed time to grieve. That's why it took me a year or so before I began to invest in the next program. Many of your clients are going to be like me. They've tried thing after thing that did not work for whatever reason. And now they're in a space where they like you and they like the idea of your program, but they may not have taken the time required to actually acknowledge their feelings. In psychology, we call that dramatic relief. What does that mean in layman's terms? That really just means what kind of strong feelings are present for your client. What kind of feelings do they have, not just about your solution, but about the solutions they created previously? What kind of feelings do they not only have presently about the past, but what kind of feelings do they also have about the future? The thing that's drawing or pulling them forward. The reason that they joined the program in the first place. Here's what I know. There is always an emotion that is driving me forward. Either something I'm running running from or something I'm running to. And if I have not taken the time to be present to my own feelings, present to my own emotions, or if my feelings are not strong enough, I'm not going to continue moving forward. You'll often hear people talk about your why. Simon Sinek wrote a book called Start With Why. It's really good if you're not familiar with this whole concept. So as you are creating your programs and you're moving people through your programs and you're marketing and you're engaging people in the program, and then you're rolling your clients off as they move into their next phase, tapping into the emotions that are important to them is going to be vital. So the question that I have for you, Coach, and the question that I would like for you to consider is, what do you have in place to help your clients deal with the feelings of grief, loss, and desire for the future? Third thing, again, I keep bringing it back to me and this human design program because I think it's a pretty cool example. So the number one reason that I actually joined this HD for Business program was actually because even though I'd taken some time away from building my business, working on my business, I was actually meeting with my own personal mental health coach. And this idea of doing business, this idea of contributing to the world around me kept coming up. This desire that I had to make a contribution, to help people do better, be better, achieve what I had achieved, it just wasn't leaving, no matter what I did. Right. And even though I focused on my own goals, prioritize my own forward movement, I felt like I achieved all the happiness that I could personally achieve. I had done all that I could to address almost every aspect of my life. I had gone around my own wheel of life and I had already improved everything there was to improve that was within my complete control. And at this feeling that I had of somehow contributing to the forward growth of humanity kept coming up for me, right? Now, that's what I can say now, but in the moment, it was just a yearning, a longing to contribute, to do more, to help more people than the people that I was able to help. And I will never forget this. My mental health coach, really my therapist, but I call her my mental health coach. She said something to me that I don't think I'll ever forget. She told me that there was something that I was being called to do that only I could do. Something that was so uniquely designed for me that nobody else could do it. And so when she said that, the first thing I thought about was my expat journey. I'm like, bet. I've lived abroad for 5 years. I'm experienced in that. Like, let me start talking to expats. Let me support the expat community. Well, it didn't take me long to realize that even though expat was a part of my identity, it really wasn't the fullness of who I am. It didn't represent the fullness of who I was. And honestly, it only scratched the surface of the impact that I wanted to make. Being an expat, living abroad was a big change, don't get me wrong. But for me, that was only part of the journey. That was only a part of my journey. It wasn't my destination, right? So the behavior that I actually had to change, that the behavior that I had to shift, the habit that I had to adjust was really not basing my business on what was popular and what was popping and what people were talking about, but instead to focus on what I was passionate about, what I was interested in, what I was committed to. And the cause that I'm most committed to, quite honestly, Coach, is you. My commitment is to us, because 9 times out of 10, if you are listening to this video, you are a trailblazer. You are a game changer. You have been called to support communities of our people, to make change, to create shifts, to begin looking at the world, our money, our happiness in a brand new way. We are the ones that our communities have been waiting for. And many of these business programs that we will enroll in, have enrolled in, are not based in human psychology. Simply telling people what to do is not effective. It's not. Because if all we needed to make a change was to know what to do, people would read things and take action. That's not the truth. They need to raise their consciousness. They need to think differently. They need to have new ideas. They need to get their emotions involved in the change, right? And most importantly, this aspect that I'm talking about right now, we call this reevaluation, specifically of the environment around us. So what is the ripple effect the ripple impact of the shift that you desire for your clients to make. More than likely, again, if you're watching this video, you're one of the ones who've been called to help people redesign and redefine what success looks like, redesign and redefine what's really important in their lives. We're on that mission, and we've both been called to that mission together. And so I'm so happy that you watched this today. I hope that you learned something. Oh, and the question, I forgot my question for this third point. The question that I want you to think about and really consider when it comes to your coaching program is, how are you ensuring that your clients recognize the ripple effect of the shift they're looking to make? Now, these are all things, these three things that we talked about, right? Reevaluation, dramatic relief, consciousness raising. All three of these are things that are very important in this first stage of change. All three of these will help your client become more clear about their deepest desires. Deep desires is what drives people to make change. If you are finding that your clients are not quite making shift, not quite taking action, there's a very good chance that somewhere along the way, you skipped one of these three things, and that's okay. It happens. Give me a call, contact me at the link below, and let's talk about how we can begin aligning your change program, infusing human psychology within your change program so that you can make the change that you've been called to facilitate. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment, or subscribe, and I can't wait to see you for the second phase, where we start talking about what's happening for a client who's now thinking about change, where they are present to the problems, clear on their desire, and now they need confidence. How do we inspire confidence as coaches? Stay tuned for that next video. See y'all later.